Ahoy, ye wanderers of the internet! Have you been sailing from dock to dock, port to port, just seeing the same stuff over and over again? Have you ever walked into a site? When's the last time you walked into a website or a channel and said, "What is this? What am I watching? What is happening in here?" These are the things that you hear in the mess hall of the Gaming Galleon many, many times a day and night. People walk in here bewildered. They don't understand what they're seeing. And I think that means we're doing something right. Welcome to the Gaming Galleon, a 300-year-old pirate ship filled practically to the gills with every video game you can think of from the past 30 or 40 years. Do we have everyone? No, that's an exaggeration. But we sure have a lot. And I would be shocked if someone were to come onto this deck and say, "Do you remember this game that I had when I was a kid, that I loved when I was a kid? Do you have that one?" There's a very good chance that we will smile at you with gap-filled mouths, because we lose teeth now and then, and say, "Of course, matey. Welcome aboard." I'm Captain Raz. I basically run the ship, decide where we go each week, and I'm not could I get us out of a storm? Grab the wheel. No, we have professionals for that. We have a helmsman who's very experienced. We also have some automation to get us if we run adrift, we're able to have the automation kind of take over, back that up, and get us back on course. My job is basically to make sure we always have a place to go and to keep the morale up around here. And for the most part, the guys are pretty happy. But, now and then you can get a little down in the dumps. And so that's when it's time to, maybe start up a Street Fighter tournament, or maybe play some Mario Party, or maybe, just sit back and show everybody that I can beat Contra without using the Konami code. Okay? Anyway, today's voyage is exciting. We're actually not in the water. We have basically enabled the balloon system that we have in the ship to get us out into the stratosphere, and we're just kind of hovering around, basically ready to get in. And we've docked with the ship we're going to be manning today. We're basically teaming up with the Raiden fighters. Okay? This is my favorite shooter series ever, Raiden. It's a long-running series, basically all the way back to the arcade. And that's how I first played it. I remember when I was in college, during the years when retro video gaming was not even a term. No one cared about these old games. This was kind of the PS2 era. The last thing people were doing was going around trying to track down old Super Nintendo games. They wanted what was newest. And the biggest victim of that mentality were the arcades. Because why would I ever want to go to the mall and sit in one of these forgotten, barely manned rooms with shoddy insulation coming out of the ceiling, and maybe around half a dozen games sitting around, and certainly no other people to play with. But I guess I was an oddball even back then, and I was lucky enough that my little food court / game room that had somewhere between 6 and a dozen games and one attendant, they had a brilliant cabinet for Raiden. And it was basically just a totally generic machine that they popped the motherboard to Raiden 1 into. But the cabinet itself was certainly designed for shooters. And what I mean by that was, if you're going to play a shooter in its most pure form, especially Raiden, as you'll see, you'll see as we play, what I'm talking about. Much of the screen in Raiden is missing because this was a game that was made before widescreen. This was made in a time when we weren't concerned about what was on our left and what was on our right, but what was above us, what we were flying into. So as a result, many arcade shooters like Raiden, instead of your widescreen laying, on the wide side, it laid on the narrow side. And there are even some guys crazy enough out there who play like that to this day. They'll take their television, their widescreen television, and they'll flip it like this and keep it like that so they can play their favorite 16-bit and 32-bit arcade shooters the way they were meant to be played. There are even some shooters that accommodate for that. Ikaruga for the GameCube comes to mind in that you have an option where you can either play widescreen, for those of us who, for everyone at home who has that kind of TV, or if you really were crazy enough to turn your TV on its side, there was an option in the game to accommodate that. I personally have never done that, but it is a bit of a dream of mine to dedicate a station to 2D, 32-bit, and 16-bit shooters. I think that would just be awesome. Now, the Raiden we're playing today, there are many of them. There was the one in the arcade that I played as a college student. Nobody was in there. Had a blast. The very first Raiden. And that you can actually get on the PS1. I actually have it, but it's under a compilation disc called the Raiden Project. The nice thing about this one is it's got Raiden 1 and Raiden 2 on it. And as far as I know... Well, no, I know the TurboGrafx has the original Raiden. Atari Lynx has the original Raiden, believe it or not. I don't know how many ways you can get Raiden 2. But that's a nice addition to this one. As you can tell, this is in a beat-up generic jewel case. Sadly, I don't have the case for this because, as you can see, looking from that picture there, this was actually one of the earliest PlayStation 1 games released. And what does that mean? That means that this was actually originally released in one of those gorgeous black long box PlayStation 1 games. The boxes that they weren't concerned with space on your shelf. They wanted it to be big and bad and bold. One day I would love to get a hold of that case, but I'm more than happy to have this on its own because the gameplay is really where it's at. And if you're a dad out there, I know there's some fathers, some mothers out there watching the show. If you look and you watch the show mainly because, man, I love these old video games, but I don't have time for these games. I have too many kids and loving spouse and responsibilities. I'd love to play something, but all these games these days are too much of an investment. I would urge you to try shooters. There's no prep time involved. You either live or die. You're dealing with maybe 3 buttons at the most, and it's action right out of the box. It's a great genre, and there's a reason that the shooter genre is as valuable and hard to collect for as, say, role-playing games, because they are that approachable and the replay value is so high. We've got Raiden Trad here on the Super Nintendo. Not bad as far as 16-bit shooters go, but I actually prefer the Genesis version of Raiden Trad. And obviously I have some pretty beat-up copies. I literally bought this one on the side of the road in Indianapolis. A guy had set up a Gorilla, like out of his suitcase, Gorilla game shop outside of one of our biggest conventions out here. That's how I got that one. As for modern ways to play, Raiden 5 is out there, but I don't know if it's worth your time and money. Raiden 5 is probably awesome, but we're talking retail here, and I believe we're talking digital. I don't think Raiden 5 has made it to physical copy unless maybe you can import it. That might be possible. Good alternatives if you're looking for something that rides the line between affordability and graphic, technical prowess. I'd go to the 360. Shockingly, you would think that the PlayStation 3 would really be the king of that generation for shooters, what with its Japanese background. But the 360 really pulled some good shooters that did not make it in physical copies on the PS3. Raiden 4 is a prime example. As you'll note, it says right at the top there, only on Xbox 360. And it even comes with a pretty sweet-looking soundtrack there. I love that two-tone. Kind of reminds me of PS2 games in Japan. That silver and one-tone color. This is probably the best bang for your buck. I don't know what it's running for these days. You can probably get it for around somewhere between $20 and $30. This is Raiden Fighters Aces. The nicest thing about this one is most Raiden games you're playing as one ship. This one there's a small collection of ships, maybe somewhere between 3 and 5. But the nice thing is you're actually getting 3 separate arcade games there on this disc. This is actually a compilation. You're getting Raiden Fighters 2, and Raiden Fighters Jet. All these Raiden games are 2-player. You can always play them with a friend. And the best part about them is there's really no convoluted power-up system or puzzle system involved with Raiden. This is what we're playing today. Raiden 3, I remember this game sitting in the bargain bins of GameStops everywhere for $3. I got a nice copy here, and I have held on to it since. I'd say of all the Raiden out there, this is probably the one to go for. You're probably going to find this the cheapest. Technically, it's a great game. If you're just wanting to dip your feet into this genre, this is the most cost-effective way, and also technically impressive. Okay, enough of my gabbing. I could go on and on about Raiden. Let's fire up the old PS1 ASCII-ware stick. Okay? I mean, it looks like it's as big as a PlayStation 1, isn't it? Look at that baby. It's got turbo up there. We're not going to need those. We're only going to be using 2 buttons. That's the beauty of this game. Let's get started. It's Raiden 3. Once we bust some heads here, we'll come back to the booty segment. And, of course, we've got your questions and whatnot sitting in the mailbag back there. Let's get started. It's Raiden 3 for the PlayStation 2. God bless it. Oops. Oh, I can hear the techno now. Lots of modes here, as you can see. As you play, you actually gain more continues. Your high score is recorded in your memory card. I didn't bring my memory card. I don't think we're gonna need it. Let's get started. Oh baby, it's good to be home. She's away. Loading now. Was that anticlimactic, huh? Very basic game. You got a rapid fire primary weapon, and then you have a second button to activate your super bomb, which basically clears the screen, makes you invincible, eliminates every bullet on the screen. You've also got two ways to power up your ship: your primary weapon, and then your secondary weapon, basically missiles. Oh, there's 2 types of missiles in the game. You've got homing, and then just straight up power missiles that, basically need to be aimed manually. As for your primary weaponry, you have this nice spread shot that can be powered up if we grab the red power up. And then there's 2 other power-ups out there: red, green, and blue. Oh wow, the fairy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm gonna avoid the fairy if I can. Why? Well, the fairy actually powers you all the way up. And, I don't know. I guess I just feel like I don't want to blow my load the first 30 seconds into gameplay here. showing you the full power of the Raiden. Look at the big crater back there. Oh! Oh man! Well, I didn't mean to pick that up. Whoa, mama! Woo! Oh. I laid my smart bomb. Not in time though. If you're wondering how many smart bombs you have, it's, you know, very basic stuff. It's down there in the lower left-hand corner. They're basically 3 get-out-of-jail-free cards. And I suggest you use them like that. Don't ever use your smart bombs offensively. Use them defensively. Wait until that bullet you can't avoid is right on top of you. You know, eventually you're going to get down that skill. You might get hit a few times to start, but eventually you're going to learn just the right time to use those smart bombs to keep you alive. And that's really what they're all about. They're about keeping you alive, not killing the opponent. Laying on that suppression fire, good and steady. That's what it's all about. Now, I don't want the blue. I'm going to wait for it to change to red. Alright, good. So right now we're rolling with the spread shot and homing missiles. And both of these can be fully upgraded a number of different times. It's all you got to do is keep picking up the same power-ups. Make sure you're picking up the red power-up. Make sure you're picking up the H, which stands for homing. And you see there's an M there floating around in the middle that's changing to an H. I'll take the H, and you'll notice I'm shooting 4 homers instead of 2 now. And that's what this game's all about, is the satisfaction of getting this baby built to the gills with power and destruction and taking out everything in your path. There's no negotiating here. There's no cunning. It's just straight up who can last the longest. Uh-oh. Oh! I had to do that. Alright, now I'm out of smart bombs. That's not good. I hope someone's watching the time because I'm a little busy. Hey, another smart bomb. Sweet. You got a little insurance there. And I mean, look at how our homers are just carpet bombing everything now. And that's a result of us waiting it out and powering up the missiles. Woo! Look at that! Come into my lair. Uh-oh, we got a stealth bomber here. Whoa. Oh, I don't like this. He's gonna do something very aggressive. Oh, that was it. Uh-oh. You think it's over? Nope. Flip her like a pancake. And I have no smart bombs. Ah! Ah! Lay it down like Chinatown. Oh my god! Alright, finish him off. We're gonna go with the laser there. And I actually used the smart bomb to mask myself so I could grab that other power up. And double the destruction power of the laser. Alright, that's level 2. Let's stop there. We'll stop right there. Give me a second, just because we're actually right on time now. We're right on time, and it looks like we have 2 credits left, and maybe 1 guy. So you know, I really gotta make sure that I'm not gonna die too quick, and give us, you know, a sincerely abbreviated show. That's always the biggest challenge when you're doing shooters in the Galleon is, are you good enough to survive for 20 minutes? So, I think we're pretty good. We're on track. I've certainly played this game quite a bit. But the nice thing about it is, as you play, we only have 2 credits to start. But as you play, as you start racking up high scores, as you start getting game overs, all of that is tracked on the memory card, provided you use it. And you actually are awarded additional credits. So eventually you'll have like 10 credits starting the game. And it makes it a lot easier and less frustrating to try and finish the game. So, alright, let's get to the booty, huh? Hey, I didn't do that! Oh, jeez. I hope I'm going to be okay. I pressed the pause button, taking the headphones off. Everything went, jumped back to life, and now I've got fire coming at me. Oh boy. All right, it should be all right. Okay, let's get into the booty. Okay, there's nothing much here. This isn't a huge deal, but I think we did okay. We did some good negotiating, and we got a little lucky. And I think they all make for good tales to bring to you guys. Whether or not this is the most mind-blowing loot, I think it's really the story that's important. I had some friends come in from Toledo, my friends Anubis and Eve. We were planning on going to a convention, Indie PopCon, but then we decided, you know what? It's $40 to get into the convention. Wouldn't it be nice? They've never seen Indianapolis. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice, rather than spending $40 mainly to shop for whatever's inside the convention, wouldn't it be nice to take them around, show them the haunts that I know of, and maybe, because Toledo, they don't give you deals, from what I understand. Maybe there's just not enough stuff around out there. But here, it's not uncommon at all to walk into a store and they're asking $2 for PS3. That's right, I said PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii games. Now, a lot of these I've passed on because I have them, but these guys, being from out of town, I thought this would be the right time. Eve also said, let's do garage sales. I said, that's great. I don't get out to garage sales enough. I happen to have $20 in cash. That's a big reason why I don't do garage sales usually. Plus, it's just creepy to do garage sales on your own. I mean, you can do it, but it's like you're just that. I hate the guys that I see creeping around on their own at garage sales. I don't want to be that guy. That's a weird thing to say because I constantly am creeping around thrift stores and pawn shops, but I guess it's a taste thing. Anyway, and garage sales are really competitive. But anyway, this was around. It was certainly late in the day. We'd been to a number of different stores, and we saw a garage sale and stopped there. And my buddy Anubis, who's not exactly someone who knows how to hide their cards, if you will, he comes up to a table. He looks over and he says, "Hey Raz, hey, check this stuff out. I think you'll probably like this." Now I'm already cringing. I never want anyone to ever say that, because that shows the seller, that you're interested. You never want anyone to know you're interested. So anyway, I walk up to this table, and it's filled with a Disney Infinity set. And there was somewhere around a dozen items, somewhere between 12, 15 different items involved in this set. And if you don't know, I actually really like Disney Infinity. I really like it. And I think this is the time for you to try it, because it's extremely cheap to play this game. They're basically action RPGs, 2-player, and there's a little Minecraft thrown in there if you're into that. But for the most part, they're really well-made 3D platformer action RPGs to play with a friend, to play with a spouse, or of course your children. Anyway, I'm not going to go that deep into Disney Infinity. I just want you to know I like the game so much that I'm actually trying to amass every doll, every character they ever made, and I'm very close. I'm only missing somewhere around 4 of them, of all the different versions they made. And I've just waited. I've waited for these to go rock bottom. I was not buying these in the stores. I'm not buying them sealed. I'm buying them purely just as toys that can be played in a video game. Okay, and so I looked at this lot. She had $20 on it, and I said, "Can you do 10?" And she said, 10. I don't know. And I said, honestly, these things aren't worth very much anymore. To be frank, in the condition you have them here, they retail for like $2 each. And she's like, "Yeah, now." And I felt so bad for her because I could hear that embittered sting of the 3 Christmases past where she must have been forking over, money for her kids. These dolls were somewhere around $15 each at the time, and now she's, haggling with some jerk in her driveway over $10 for them. So, it was. I said, I think that's where I have to stay is 10. What do you think? And she's looking at them. And I don't know. I didn't know what time it was. I thought it might have been 11 a.m. It was actually around 1:45, and they were closing at 2. Had I known that time going in, I might have thrown her $5 and stuck at 7. But 10 is what I threw at her. Thought it was a fair deal. I was basically getting them at half the retail price. And she said, "All right, so let's take a look at what we got from the Disney Infinity lot for $10. It's all in this big bag here. We got Tonto. Johnny Depp's Tonto. We got Davy Jones. Always good to have a pirate on deck. We got this is the Cowboy World. This is the world of the Lone Ranger. So basically, if you play this, you pop this in, you're basically in kind of a watered down Red Dead Redemption kind of world where you can play as Tonto or the Lone Ranger. And I didn't have that. I didn't have that set, so I was excited to grab that because it actually sounds like a lot of fun. We got Jack Sparrow here. Couldn't be more common. We got the game, and we got it for PS3, which is good. If you decide to go into Disney Infinity and you have multiple systems, I'm going to suggest the PS3 over the Xbox 360 and over the Wii. And the reason I say that is because of cloud memory. That's free. Well, no, I guess it's not free. I guess you do need PlayStation Plus. So I guess either way, Xbox or PlayStation 3 is the way to go. I would avoid the Wii because you're not getting that cloud memory. And if you really get into this game, you can build worlds like Minecraft. So you don't want to spend 100 hours building these worlds and then, you lose it because you don't have your Wii anymore. Get it for cloud servicing, so all your progress will be saved from there out. All right, we got the Portal. I'm not going to waste my time talking about the Portal if you're that interested. That's just basically an essential piece that you need to play the game. They're very cheap. You got Barbossa, Captain Barbossa there. You got the Lone Ranger. Pirates and Cowboys, oh my. What else we got here? Mr. Incredible, another starter character there. You got, this is another one of those play sets. This is the starter play set that has 3 worlds on it: Monster University, The Incredibles, and Pirates of the Caribbean. You need characters from those worlds to play these worlds, and we have them all. So we've gotten 4 different play sets with this purchase so far, and we've got the characters we need to play them. We got Syndrome. He's the villain in Incredibles. I think Jason Lee plays him. Got Sully, another starter character. And then finally, we have Mr. Incredible's son, the Flash. The one character I do have here is Mr. Incredible's daughter. She actually was in the lot too, Violet. But Violet, for whatever reason, can actually fetch a little money these days. So I actually put Violet up for sale for $11 plus shipping after Amazon costs, which they're. I'm giving you an idea of how bad it is to sell online these days. Okay, Violet costs is selling for $11. The buyer, in addition to $11, also has to put down $4 for shipping. So the buyer has put down $15 total. You have to send it. So you put it in an envelope that maybe costs $1. Then you go to the post office and send it out. That costs around $2.30. So you're at somewhere around, $12 at this point. And then Amazon takes $5 of that $11. Now they tell you out of the box how much they're going to take, and I don't think I bothered looking this time around. But what did they take? They almost took like 60% of. They took 50%. 50% if you're not including the shipping. So crazy. So basically, we were able to get this whole lot for around $4 after Violet sold. Not a bad deal. Most of these characters I've actually taken from my personal collection because the rest of them, I think I kept the Cowboys, the playset, the Lone Ranger, Tonto, the Lone Ranger playset, and Syndrome, and the rest of the characters and the game and the portal, I sent all those home with Anubis and Eve so that they can tool around with Disney Infinity, see if they like it. Okay, so that, not a bad deal. And if you see these things like that in a garage sale deal, talk them down and don't be afraid to pick them up because it's a fun game. All right. Okay. Later in the afternoon, we decided to go to a toy store that I heard about, a vintage toy store here in the area. I saw it on Craigslist. They're like, do you have old toys? Bring them on into the toy pit. Well, you can get cash for your toys, whatever. And my buddy Anubis is really into old Transformers. So I thought, we should check this place out. And he was very excited too. So we walk in, and this place is just wall-to-wall toys. The first section where the clerk is all Star Wars stuff, loose stuff, sealed stuff from the 2000s, stuff from modern day. I don't know about the vintage stuff, but I did come across some loose droids from when I was a kid, and those were only a couple bucks. Those were neat. I remember those droids being my favorite in the old sandbox back in the neighborhood. And then when you go past the Star Wars stuff, there's stations devoted to every big thing you can think of. TMNT, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, My Little Pony, Barbie, obviously. And they were all of the old set, vintage sets, some of them behind glass, some of them in Tupperware that people were just digging around in. And there was a deal. The deal was buy 2 things over $5, get the third one free. That's a pretty good deal. And of course, I went into my old ways of, I went up to the clerk. Anubis is going straight to the Transformers. He's here for the toys. I, of course, go straight to the clerk and say, do you have any video games? And he says, yeah, we do. Right in the middle there, we got some old Nintendo games. So sitting next to a Neo Geo machine, an old Neo Geo machine cabinet that was playing SNK versus Capcom Chaos, I think. Good game. There was, to my joy, a few stacks of Nintendo games. And I was really excited about that. Probably chances are I'm going to have all these. But I started looking through, and lo and behold, I did. Pretty decent prices. I don't think that this was clearly not their market. They had Bubble Bobble for $15, which is about, somewhere between $5 and $10 less than what you're going to pay retail online. So not a bad deal. And but all these games I had, and then I happened to see on the floor, there was a smattering of games. They had like a couple Genesis games there. They even had like some Saturn games. Nothing that I was dying for. But I looked in the Tupperware near it, and I saw some cords. I saw an NES Advantage, which is basically the joystick for the Nintendo. And then I saw a case. I saw this. Now, these are one of these old protective covers that rental stores would use to send their games out. But I noticed that there was paperwork in there. And I didn't know what it was, but if it's in here, chances are it's going to be Nintendo manuals, which I'm very interested in. I don't really care about Nintendo boxes, but Nintendo manuals I can go all day on. So I start to go through them, and again, I haven't seen any game worth buying. But I thought, I don't know what he's going to do on this. I don't know what this place is like. I don't know if they're the kind of place that's going to, oh, did you find that on the floor? Well, let's hit eBay. Let's nickel and dime it. Let's see where we're at. So this was my plan. A little shady, but this was my plan. This was unmarked. All the other Nintendo stuff was marked, priced. So I went to the manuals, and I looked for a manual with a reasonably priced, or I looked for a manual for a reasonably priced, very common game. And my plan was, if the manual was in here, I would buy the very common game, I would put it in here, and then buy the whole thing, hoping that he wouldn't be like, what's all that paper in there? Alright, so let's take a look at the manuals. I don't know what this is. This is like some sort of spreadsheet for maybe a roll, maybe a, oh, okay, it's to buy Star Wars stuff. 1-800 Star Wars. See that there? What's this say? Star Wars Bazaar, duty free, 2 parsecs ahead, Tatooine exit, first right after Mos Eisley. I like that. But this is like a mail order thing. You would pick what the item you wanted on the back. I want the Millennium Falcon. You'd find out the Millennium Falcon's number is 9030. Then you would turn this over, fill out your address so they knew where to send it, fill out 9030 so they knew you wanted a Millennium Falcon, and then also stick a check in there for $17. You could get the Millennium Falcon for $17. Think about that. Is that the Nintendo? Oh my God. This is fascinating. So I haven't looked at this yet, but the Millennium Falcon, which is like the coolest toy out there for Star Wars. It's huge. It's massive. $17. Meanwhile, you got you got Star Wars for the Nintendo right there in the middle by JVC, where the asking price is $60. $60. I didn't think any Nintendo game was that expensive. Maybe it's because they're going through this site. I don't know. So that's fascinating. I don't have that game, by the way. I really want it. All right. So let's see. So the manuals we found in there was Paperboy. Pretty cool. We didn't have that. Empire Strikes Back. Another game we do have. Didn't have the manual. Bubble Bobble. Pretty cool to have that manual. Mario Duck Hunt. Pretty easy to find that one. And then finally, I found Fester's Quest. And when I saw Fester's Quest, I was like, okay, this is the one we're going to go for. This is the cheap one. So I go back to the pile of Nintendo games. I pick up Fester's Quest. And the price they had on it was $5. It's right up here. It says $5. Okay? So I popped Fester's Quest in. Oh my God. Bending over sucks. Okay. Pop Fester's Quest in with all the manuals. Had the price tag. Very easy to see. Okay. And then I'm like, well, they're doing that. And then I found this thing. Check this out. Sealed at the time, we found by Tiger Handheld Toys, the Extreme Chains Game Series Defender. Alright, obviously I've taken it out. Looks like they have a couple others, Joust and Kaboom. But, you know, let me get it, because it's on my keychain. And I didn't know what they were going to go for it on, but it was sealed. And I love Tiger handheld toys. And I thought, geez, you know, most of these things are not good. But Defender is like a 4-bit game, and it's a shooter. I mean, how hard can it be to make it happen? You know, you're really just one very small little ship. There's some people down here that you have to defend, and then you've got a fire button to shoot any of the spaceships that are coming to abduct the innocent folk on the surface. This is a really competent game. This may be the most competent Tiger handheld game I've ever played. The smoked plastic is just really hot, very reminiscent of the original arcade game. And now I can go anywhere in the world as long as I have my keys. My phone could be out. I could leave my Game Boy Advance at home. And I know at the very least I've got one classic space shooter sitting in my pocket. It even saves your high score. How about that? And as for power, it wasn't playing in here. There was no try me. So that led me to believe, it says on the back, batteries included. 2 watch batteries or something like that. We opened her up. There was a little corrosion. And there was also a tag to start the power. It wasn't starting up at first, but by the next morning, I think it had woken up after the 15 years had been sitting in that packaging, and now it works like a charm. Turns on and off by itself, plays great. I mean, look at all the buttons alone. You got left, right, up, down, fire, and smart bomb. The only thing you're missing here, I think, is hyperspace. But it plays great. So I had those 2 items, the Defender, Fester's Quest. And then I'm like, I don't know what he's going to ask for this Defender thing, but maybe if I grab something else that's $5, we can make a deal. So I just pulled Super Mario Duck Hunt. I kind of regret it. He had POW for $5, but here's the thing. Fester's Quest I'm actually sending to a friend. I'm actually sending to Hodor out there. Shout-outs to Hodor. He's been doing some Nintendo Entertainment System streaming. I think that might have been a limited thing, but he's out in the boonies where Nintendo games are hard to find. We go way back. He did some great Nintendo streaming. And here in Indianapolis, it's reasonably easy to step into a video game store and buy a handful of cheap, common Nintendo games, provided you don't have them. So I'm going to send him Fester's Quest. I don't know what I'm going to do with Super Mario Duck Hunt. I know he has that, so he doesn't need it. But it's got the manual. I'll probably keep it in the case with the manual. The manuals themselves will go with the games. I brought this up here, and I said my whole shebang, my whole plan. These 2 are $5 each. I didn't see a price on this. Can this be $5 and we do 3 for $10? And he said, yeah, no problem, man. And that was great. So I'm pulling out my money, and that's when he says, hey, so do you want to try and shoot Jar Jar in the face to get $5 to $10 off your purchase? And I said, okay. So he hands me a Nerf gun, and he lines me, he points out a black line, 10, 15 feet away from a dartboard of sorts, except it's not a dartboard. It's Jar Jar with a bullseye painted on his face and a big red bullseye on his nose. The outer rim, the black rim, you get $5 off. You manage to hit the black rim. The red bullseye, you manage to get $10 off. I walked up, took aim, took a breath, squeezed the trigger, and hit that Gungan square in the nose. The guy's like, oh my God! Well, there you go. You got your whole lot for free. Congratulations. How about that? Can't do much better than that, huh? Nothing crazy, but when it's free, who can complain? All right, that's all we got. Let's let's get back to it. We're pretty behind, but that's okay. I wanted to get into all that stuff. Let's get back to Raiden 3. We'll just blow up some more ships here for about 10 minutes, and then we'll hit the mailbag. Okay? All right. Once again, Raiden 3 for the PlayStation 2. Don't count out the 2D shooter, my friends. They've been around a lot longer than most of the stuff you guys play. Okay? Keep that in mind. Respect your elders. All right, let's get back to it. It's Raiden 3 for the PS2. Alright. You're off. Now remember, I gotta dodge a bullet. I can see it. There's a bullet about 20 yards off the is that the port bow? I should know this, right? It's on my right side, okay? We got a bullet coming in at 2 o'clock. All right. So we gotta veer. We gotta go 6 o'clock right out of the box. All right, here we go. 8. Okay, we're good. Oh. And of course I wasted a smart bomb. I have a tendency to do that. Ah! Oh no. I got greedy. Again, I'm gonna avoid the P. I'm gonna avoid all the ridiculously strong power-ups. Maybe if we pick one up in the grand finale, my last life, we'll do like a Super Saiyan. This is the green power-up. This is probably my least favorite one. Oh, come on. Give me the red. Give me the red. Alright, good. That's better. Wow, man. They're not giving me any mercy here. And you can tell, you know, this is... Oh, man. Why did I pick the green? This is a really good shooter series to get started with. It's very basic. God darn it. Okay. Alright, we got a good loadout. Whoa, 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 whoa. Ah! Man, I'm having to use smart bombs like candy. Give me that one. Shit, this sucks. Jeez, I'm glad we didn't do... Glad I stopped when I did. We're not gonna last that long. This is it. This is our last 3 lives. Yeah, like a game like Ikaruga, Radiant Silvergun, some of those legendary ones we heard about. They're cool, but they take some little more brain power to play. Not, you know, not to say you don't have the brain power to play them, but when you play a shooter, you want to be able to just concentrate on the basics, which is staying alive and taking out the enemy a little bit at a time. And a lot of these puzzle fighters, bullet hell shooters, it's more about positioning yourself. It's more like an obstacle course, whereas this is... Ooh. The question is survival. Oh my god. Oh! Oh man, look at it. It's just a big floating... Oh, I was gonna say... Oh, useless... Oh, where'd that guy come from? What a bunch of garbage. Die already! You're... Jeez! This is it. Last life. Ah! Oh my god, we got him. Last life. 1 smart bomb going into the 4th level. Bang, dang, dang. 2-player. Play with a buddy. As far as I know, every Raiden ever made was 2-player. I like how you have that mothership that just brings you to the parsec of space you need to blow up. Great music. Reminds me of the days of the raves. The rave age. Oh my god. Parties that last till 9 in the morning. Hanging out with a bunch of kids in the suburbs. All tweaked out on caffeine and God knows what. Neon lights. Whatever. The dancing with those glow sticks in your hands. God, I don't know why that ever stopped. Miss those days. I've got sweat in my eye. I'm gonna have more in my eye in a second. Oh. Whew. Got gunpowder in my eye here before too long. Gunpowder with just a touch of napalm. Look at me just tearing the space station apart. Ah! Hey, I might be you may kill me, but not without me taking out a few $1 billion worth of your space technology. Oh my god. Big robotic spider. It had to come to this, didn't it? How was your day? Well, it was going great, and then there was this big robotic spider that showed up. And, the rest is history. Alright, that was fun. So that's Raiden. Yeah, is this a game that is going to get all the credit that, say, a Final Fantasy VII or a Metal Gear Solid got, or a Call of Duty Black Ops? I know you guys love your storylines for Call of Duty. That's not true. A lot of people hate them. Anyway, but it's fun. And isn't that what video games are all about? We got to get back to that. We got to get back to when video games were fun. They weren't an accomplishment. They weren't a career. They were fun. They were what you did to escape your career and to escape your life. Try and take on that mentality the next time you sit down with one of your favorite games, okay? Don't worry about doing it right. Don't worry about doing it better than that other guy you saw on the internet. Just have fun, okay? That's what I urge for you when you play a game like Raiden 3. All right, let's check out the mailbag here. See what's going on in here. It's getting a little light. If you got a question, or you got something bigger than a question, you got a question, concern, something like that, send it to gaminggalleon@gmail.com. Or if you have something bigger than a bread box, that's, of course, legal. I can't stress that enough. Please feel free to send it to the Gaming Galleon, P.O. Box 199254, Indianapolis, Indiana, 49216. We do a voyage every week. We do it live, and it's an hour long, so with all that time we had to fill week to week, I assure you, if you're nice enough to send something, we will take a good amount of time and certainly, thank you in a very elaborate way. Or at least, we'll take the time to thank you correctly. Okay, we'll open it up on air. We'll all have a big thanks and a laugh, courtesy of you. Okay, so anyway, let's get to the mailbag here. This is from the Pancake Boy. He sounds delicious. He says, does your mom think it's weird that you dress as a pirate talking to yourself about outdated games and toys? Serious question. No, I think my mom thinks it's a good thing. I think that she's recognized that a lot of people are actually interested in this kind of stuff that I know. And I try my best to, relate it to real life as much as possible, which I don't think a lot of people do with video games. I think they try and separate their video games. I'm going to get this thing right one day. I swear. I think that I think people appreciate, the melding of video games and real life that we try to do here in the Galleon every week. Talking to myself, I think this is kind of an outdated question. I don't think I've ever been talking to myself, and I think that's kind of a narrow mindset of yours, and that you think that no one watches the show. There are people out there who have told me, I've never said anything before, but I just want you to know I live in this part of the country or this part of the world, and you make my mornings more fun. You make my after work more relaxing. There are streamers who told me that the best way for them to unwind after a long stream is to watch the show. And it was always my intention to not come onto the Galleon and be like, hey, who's watching? We got anybody watching? You're not watching? Why am I doing this? I come from an age when broadcasting was not so polite as to let you have instant feedback. You would go out there, you'd try and entertain people, you'd talk to the camera like it's a real person, and hope that someone out there was watching. That's the world that I've come from. I wasn't brought up in the streamer world where I think most people are, if they don't have anybody watching, what they're doing doesn't count. That's not true, all you streamers out there, by the way. Keep doing what you love doing, and the people will come. All right? Thank you, Pancake Boy, for the question. I hope I answered it correctly. And as for Mom, she actually gave me this hat. How about that? Talk about supportive. I think we're done. Check the time. Yeah, we're good. We're good on time. Great. I'm glad everything came together. It was a fun trip out here in the wild blue Yonder. Sadly, there's no floating bars around or floating arcades to hang out in. We'll have to head back down to the surface, leave the boys of the Raiden fighter team behind to keep taking on space stations and robots and a myriad of different bite-sized spaceships. But as for us, we're going to head on back to Indianapolis, probably get a bite to eat, and I want to thank you personally from the bottom of my heart for watching and joining us on this beautiful ship of adventure and imagination. So until next time, my friends, stay frosty, stay hydrated, and stay happy. Farewell and adieu to ye fair Spanish maidens. Farewell and adieu, ye ladies of Spain. For we received orders for to sail through the wild blue Yonder. And lo, nevermore shall we see ye again. Keep your powder dry, my friends.